Imagine a peaceful coastal city turned upside down by a shocking crime, a crime that remains unsolved to this day. Picture the tranquil city of Wollongong, a haven turned into a place of terror overnight. The community was shattered when news broke out about the murder of a woman named Gary Mum. The initial shock quickly turned into a pervasive terror that gripped the city as the horrifying details of the crime unfolded. The question on everyone's lips: who killed Gary Mum? On a day like any other, tragedy struck in the heart of Wollongong. It was a typical Tuesday, morning rush in full swing, when the unimaginable occurred. Nestled between the hustle and bustle of the Piccadilly Centre, a horrifying discovery was made. Gary Mum, a man known and loved by many, was found lifeless. The crime scene painted a grim picture. It was clear that this was not a random act of violence. The meticulous execution suggested a premeditated act, a cold and calculated crime that sent chills down the spines of investigators. Witnesses recalled seeing a cream-colored utility vehicle near the crime scene around the time of the incident. Its presence seemed out of place, its driver suspicious. This vehicle, seemingly innocuous, stood out in stark contrast against the backdrop of the city's morning routine, raising more questions than answers. The immediate aftermath was a whirlwind of activity. The area was cordoned off. Investigators swarmed the scene, meticulously gathering evidence, hoping it would lead them to the perpetrator. As news of the crime spread, a pall of shock and grief descended over the city. In the blink of an eye, Wollongong was plunged into a nightmare. Investigators were soon on the scene, combing for any clue that might lead them to the killer. They meticulously gathered evidence, dusted for fingerprints, and scoured for DNA traces, hoping to find a breakthrough that could crack the case wide open. The crime scene, a grim tableau of an unspeakable act, offered few clues. The investigation was a labyrinth of dead ends and false leads. Every stone turned seemed to only deepen the mystery. They followed a trail of breadcrumbs from suspicious characters to a cream-colored utility vehicle seen in the vicinity. Each lead was pursued with tenacity, yet each one seemed to evaporate into thin air. Suspects were questioned, alibis checked and rechecked. The net was cast wide, and every individual who had the faintest connection to the victim was scrutinized. Yet no one fit the bill. No one seemed to be the missing piece of the puzzle. The lack of conclusive evidence was a significant hurdle. Investigators were faced with a jigsaw puzzle with missing pieces, an enigma wrapped in a riddle. The elusive suspect remained a phantom, leaving no trace, no footprint in the sand. Despite their best efforts, the killer remained a shadow in the dark. The quest for justice continued, both for the victim and for a community left reeling in the wake of such a horrific crime. While investigators raced against the clock, the community of Wollongong came together in grief and solidarity. This tight-knit community, shaken to its core, rallied in response to the crime that had taken one of their own. Streets filled with the soft glow of candlelight vigils, the flickering flames symbolizing the collective hope and determination of the people. Public appeals for information echoed through local media, a plea from the heart of the community for anyone with knowledge to step forward to help piece together the puzzle of this tragic event. Community meetings were held, a space for shared sorrow but also shared strength. The people of Wollongong were determined to find justice for Gary Mum, to ensure that his loss would not go unanswered. Every whisper of information, every shared memory of Gary served to strengthen their resolve. This was a community that refused to be defined by tragedy. Instead, they chose to stand together, to fight for justice, and to honor the memory of their neighbor, their friend. In their unity, the people of Wollongong showed their resilience and their unyielding hope for justice. Years have passed since that fateful day, yet the mystery remains. The case of Gary Mum remains as unresolved as the day it began. Despite the tireless efforts of investigators, the identity of the killer is still shrouded in uncertainty. The clues are scant and the leads have run cold, yet hope persists. Every day, investigators revisit the case, sifting through old evidence, hoping for a breakthrough, a new angle, a missed connection, anything that could shed light on this enduring mystery. And they're not alone in their quest. The Wollongong community remains steadfast in its pursuit of justice. Candlelight vigils illuminate the city, a beacon of collective resolve, a silent pledge to not let Gary Mum's memory fade into oblivion. The media, too, periodically revisits the case, keeping it alive in the public consciousness. Every broadcast, every headline, a stark reminder of the unresolved mystery that continues to cast a shadow over Wollongong. In the heart of Wollongong, a question still echoes: who killed Gary Mum, and will justice ever be served?